Okay, Katie. Thank you for accepting my invitation for live music interview. It's very honored today to see you in person, chatting with you, and welcome to my channel for live music interview. And today I will ask you 8 questions. We will speak about your field as a poetry.
Yeah,
Really such a
I'm
great
very happy to be here. I'm very happy
honor
to talk to you. It's
to
great to
see
meet you in
you.
person and
Thank
instead
you.
of just virtually. So happy to be here.
Okay, so let's start a music interview with a
Sure, absolutely.
poetry, Kaytee Thorin, and question one. So my first question, I want to ask you, how do you start your journey as spoken word artist?
I have always been a poet. I've always
Mm,
written. The earliest poem that I remember, I was 6 years old. So I've
mm.
written my whole life, but I didn't share it with anyone other than my closest friends for a long time, through high school and things like that. So the first time I presented in public was at an art and literature show in college, in my first year of college. I was in a literary magazine, so I presented and I did probably a terrible job at the time. And so I kind of shelved the idea of spoken word, just focused on the writing.
Okay.
Well, fast forward to about 2021, I believe. I had a friend who was having surgery in downtown Chicago, and I was staying at a hotel across the street. And I had been dreaming about doing a video, like a real video, with a film
Yes, I
crew
see
and
some
all
of
the
your
stunt.
videos in Instagram. Really, your
I
style, Gothic style, right? Your
yeah,
Gothic
definitely.
style.
I call it romantically macabre. Um, so I've been dreaming about this kind of big project, and I'm bored in the hotel room. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I have nothing to do. I'm laying on the couch. So I'm like, let me just record one and just see. So I'm literally laying on the couch with my cell phone like this. And I just like, do a piece, like a simple piece. And I
Awesome.
post it and I go to bed.
Mm,
And I wake up in the morning and I have like 150 new followers. And up to that point, I had just been posting print poetry, just, print pieces and pictures. And I realized there's something to this.
mm,
People want to hear,
of course.
poetry can be a challenging read for some people. So hearing it and watching me express it and things like that, it opens it up to a wider audience.
Mm.
So from that point on, it was like all spoken word. And I just took it. I'm
Awesome. Wow.
so
It's really such a great journey, Katie. You do everything by your own. Your poetry, spoken words, everything.
Oh, I was going to say real quick. I own my own small press, October City
Mm,
Press, and so that has been publishing and producing my work, and we're now going to start publishing and producing others.
mm.
But that's essentially me and one other person, and then a group of helpers we have. So it's very indie. It's very independent. It's very hands-on. You have to learn everything,
Of
and
course.
do everything yourself.
I make everything by myself. My channel for podcast, I just make a lot of
Wonderful.
research about the electronic music, and I made my music. I play as ambient composer. So I
That's
made
great.
everything by myself. So no one here
That's
know about the
wonderful.
electronic music. It's really such very rare here to play that kind of genre. A lot of people ask me about how do you discover the electronic? Yeah, back from 2014. It's a long story.
Some DJs that I can connect you with that host a lot of electronic and EBM and kind of that type of electronic music events in Chicago, but they
Mm,
introduce people to bands. So I got a
wow,
couple people you should follow that maybe can
of
introduce you
course.
to some new
Why not?
music.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. So okay, we jump to another question.
Yes.
So, question two: what artist poet inspire you?
Everyone inspires me to a point. In all of my books, I have a quote. I don't do a dedication page in a book, like, to my dog and my husband and my cat and my aunt and, the guy at the grocery store. I do an inspiration page. So
Mm,
I put the quote, remember to thank those who inspire you. And I think that can come in a lot of different ways. So in all my books, I used a lot of artists that are collaborators. So my last book, I had six different artists that contributed photography, illustrations, paintings. So they're inspirations to me because they help guide what the final book is going to look like. They help kind of guide my story. Uh, but in terms of authors, Margaret Atwood, Sharon Olds, Marge Piercy, there's some very strong, you know, legendary at this point female poets that in high school really taught me how to have my own voice. There's a lot of female poets that are
Wow.
very subdued
But you
and
have your own
and
style, your own unique style.
right. I wanted to scream, I wanted to scream real stories. I wanted to scream ideas and feelings. And
Mm.
I saw all of these female poets that were very soft and very delicate in their poetry. And then I saw these women that were out there that were like, this is real, this is true, this happens to all of us, this is a real story. And that's what
Of
I wanted
course.
to do. I wanted to tell stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it just gave me the courage to speak in that voice, which is the one that I have now.
So every poet has his own voice, has his own
Mhm.
story, has his own journey. So you have your journey, you have your story.
I do. I do. I mean, writing, I think, came natural to me because my mother was an English teacher before
Wow.
I was born, and my father was an artist. So, kind of the
Your
combination
father
of
is an
them.
artist.
Yes, he
He's a
was
musician, painter.
floral designer, an interior designer, decorator, aesthetics, a lot of aesthetic designing,
Wow.
and he wrote as well. So, I think the combination of that, like, really aggressive English education from my mother and then the artistry from my father kind of started me really young being creative and even writing really young and realizing that that was something that I could do. It was something that was,
I
you know,
understand.
easy for me as a person to do. I can't paint, I can't sculpt,
You
so
can
it's
paint.
no, I can't paint. I can't do anything like visual arts. This is by Amy Kohler Anderson. She did the
Really
chapter covers
nice.
for my books.
Really,
So
really nice.
I can't do that. I understand my limitations, and my limitations
Awesome.
center around the words. And I like to invite people into that experience with me to help tell the story.
So tell me about your first time performing.
Uh, let's see. My first time really performing spoken word. Uh,
Where?
After a long time. What I did in my 20s, a little, I tried. I
Mm.
tried when I was younger a little bit, maybe
In
didn't
which age?
perform
In which
well.
age you try? In which
In
age?
my 20s,
Oh.
yeah, in my 20s in Chicago, there were a lot of open mic opportunities. So I tried and
Mm.
did my best. At that point, I was young. I didn't have a ton of
It's
experience. I was
awesome you have a
learning.
first try. It's awesome. You
Yeah.
have first try in that age.
So I kind of paused that until I got older and kind of restarted this up again. But my first, I did a few small open mics here. Let me think. I started on the open mic circle again. I did a few tangible books, gallery cabaret, which are hosted by some friends of mine. But I think the experience that really kind of threw me into the pool, the experience that was like, here's what you're doing now, is I had a friend invite me to open at the Metro, which is kind of a legendary rock venue in
Mm.
Chicago. It's
Mm.
like about a 1,100 person rock, like multi-story rock venue. And I
Mm.
opened for this event and a band called the French Police. Uh, and I gave kind of a haunting midnight recitation of poetry. And I feel that I was a little too subdued, but it was the largest crowd I had ever been in front of. So it was like throwing me out on the biggest stage I've been on with little prep. And I did it and I loved it and I loved the energy and I loved the experience. And I'm like, I need to get better at this. So I just started recording every day. and writing every day. And that is why I have so many videos online. If you go to my
I
YouTube,
see.
I think I have like
Even you have a
250 or
podcast
280.
with some
Yeah,
of
I was like,
people. You do a podcast
I
speaking
do,
about the
I do,
poetry. Yeah.
yeah, I do interview some others as well. I just love to write, but I had to relearn how to do spoken word, and I just did that by recording myself and editing myself and posting myself, and it felt very natural.
Every
I
day.
think I have all the time,
Yes.
every
You post
couple
always.
days. hmm
Yes, you post always.
And I think with any art, doesn't matter what form it is, you have to continually practice it. And I will do one or two takes and then post it to Instagram. And I'm like, that's it. I'm not going to edit this thing to death. I just want it to be very clean and raw and authentic. And then when I perform publicly, I try to not have notes or my phone, which is
Mm,
challenging sometimes depending on how much I have to present. But I
mm.
try to present from memory and get, very kind of theatrical in my performance. So regardless of the level of understanding the viewer has of the language or even maybe some of the words, they're going to be able to pick up the emotion through the tone of my voice, the pitches, the movement that I have. And I think that's great. It's kind of that music is universal language kind of
Of course.
thing. It's the same thing where when you
Poetry too is
perform it
universal
theatrically, yeah.
because you can do everything with the poet. Everything.
Mhm.
And do
Yes.
everything. You can convert everything. Such a great experience from 20 years
I
old.
love I love doing
You have your
challenges for
first
my friends.
try. Awesome. From that
What I
age, you start your first experience.
Yeah, what I do is I'll ask people to give me like two words and I'll write something in
Mm,
like 5 minutes and give it to them. And I like to write like kind of flash poetry like that to challenge myself. And
mm.
you mentioned the podcasts. I I just want to explore everything writing. I wrote for a newspaper years ago
Mm.
and I just decided, let me do some interviews, right? So I started interviewing some bands that I knew and
Yes, I see.
writing some articles and things like that. And that for me is just fun. That's just fun, on top of what I do, because it's a different style of writing and you have to put a different hat on and think differently. And it keeps me sharper. Sometimes I will be on the street and it's like
Street.
maybe a cool looking area, like a cool neighborhood, or the trees look cool or or anything like that. And I'll just stop and start recording myself and record a piece from memory. And some of
Awesome.
those I think are the most impactful because they're the most raw, because they're just coming right out from me. I'm not reading them.
You should maybe see Shane Peck. The Last American Poet is awesome. You do a lot of projects
I
with it, a
definitely
lot of
will.
musicians from worldwide. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
always listening to his work. Awesome.
social
Such a great
media,
poetry is.
social media is
Mm.
a confusing thing, right? It's
I'm
a
not big
lot.
fans always in social media,
Um,
but I'm used
it's a
to
lot of
different
work.
time to time. Mm.
But I have met some of the most amazing artists. I had a logo for our press, October City Press, that I had drawn years ago, and
Mm.
I wanted it updated. And so the artist that actually drew it is in Germany. Her name's
Wow.
Friederike Grobler. So I'm not sure if you can see that pumpkin
Uh,
right there
of
with the
course, I see
eyeball.
it clearly. I see it
Yeah.
clearly. Yes.
And actually, I got it trademarked, so I actually have it on my mug
Ah,
too.
that's yeah, that's
um,
smart.
so
Awesome.
she's a German artist that I never had heard of until Instagram, and now we're great long distance friends. I call her my German cousin because I'm mostly German, and I would love to go visit her someday. And I've introduced her to another creator that I met in Germany, and now they have started working. Another artist that I've used in all of my books. He actually did the cover of this book, which is Discarding a Rag Doll. So he did
Yeah,
that. We
really
did
nice.
illustrations. He lives in Argentina. His name is Alberto Apria. I've worked with him since like 2003, I think. So
Uh, That's
it's
long, long
fun for
time.
me. Yeah, it's fun for me to bring in different cultures and different people to collaborate
Yes.
because,
Just like what I
you
do,
know,
I collaborate with the different artists from all the way. Yes, I made maybe four or three or five calibrate, I don't know. But yes, it's really nice to calibrate with people, to share your knowledge, to share your art, share your story,
it
because
is. It
everyone
is.
have a message.
And I think it's just honest of us to say what we're good at and what we're not.
Mm,
I'm a good writer.
of
I'm a
course.
terrible illustrator. I
Mhm.
can't draw, right? It's like stick figures, right? So I'm very comfortable with my limitations. And then using someone that is brilliant in what they do to collaborate with me, that's that's so much fun. It
Of
adds so
course.
much to every piece. And in my book, I have my most recent book, I have a piece of art with almost
Mm.
every poem. So like here, just for example, is an illustration
Wow.
with a poem. And
So you
then
did
there's
that?
a lot of
That
photography.
yes.
I didn't draw it. That's Alberto in Argentina drew it. So these are the people
Ah,
collaborating with me. So they
that's
helped
awesome,
me tell my
awesome. That's
story.
awesome. You had your
Yeah, they helped
photos in the
me tell my
book.
story.
You
Mhm.
have your own style, your own poets,
Well, like
everything.
I I call my poetry collections novels and poems. So if you read it start to finish, it's one long story. If you read each chapter, it would be four stories.
Ah,
Or you could read it one by one. But the pictures
okay.
kind of help tell the story, and I think that that also helps where language might be a barrier. Maybe someone
Mm,
who's English is not their first language. I mess with the language and the grammar in my writing. I'm guilty of every literary
mhm.
sin, I'm sure. But the pictures then
Uh,
help tell the story too.
mm.
So it opens it up, I think. And someone asked me the other day if I had thought of translating my work into different languages, and it's hard with poetry, but I'm thinking about it now.
You should try it
Hmm.
in the near
Have to see
future.
if it works. Yeah.
So maybe we have you and I a calibrate in the future. You tell me, I want to calibrate with you. It's really such a great. Awesome.
It's just hard because like I'll mix words up and it's technically maybe incorrect in English, but it sounds
Mhm.
beautiful. I just
Yes.
need to work on if I do that and translate it, that it has that same, beauty and impact and everything that I want it to have. So
Awesome. Okay. I should think about or calibrate in near future. I need to update some of equipment. So, okay. Of course, we will do it in the end. Let's jump to another question.
sure.
So, who were your first influence?
My parents, my parents for sure. My
Okay.
mother being literary, my father being artistic. They owned a flower and antique shop. So I was, as a child, kind of running around a store, hiding under the furniture, and just learning and watching everyone and picking up creativity. And my late father, I don't know why he would make this decision, but as a child, he would let me decorate the windows. He would let me do the window displays as a child, which could have turned out to be a disaster, but they
Awesome.
didn't. They actually
Mm,
were good, and he had me do it for years, and it was fun for me as a kid to be able to
mm,
do that. So they're definitely my first inspirations. I think when I began to take poetry seriously as something that I could do. Like I could actually put out a book. I could actually do this, not just write for myself. Was a poetry teacher that I had in college. And I took her class twice and got A's both
mm,
times just because I enjoyed the class.
of
I
course.
can't remember her name, but we used to sit in a circle and we'd read poetry and kind of analyze each other's poetry. And it was a great exercise for me in learning how I might have a story in my head and I tell it and I think it comes out like the story in my head, but you read it and you take something totally different from it, which is wonderful. But
Mm,
it took me a while to learn that everyone is going to take, just like a song, just like anything, they're going to take something different from it. Each person is going to take something different from it.
of course. So we jump to another question.
Sure.
So, how much of your work comes from direct experience and how much comes from observation?
Collectively, 95% of it, I would
Mm,
say. I am a firm believer that the the more experience you have, the older you get, the more
mm,
you've been through, the deeper and the richer your writing will be.
mm,
So I do take a lot of stories from my life, or
of
pieces
course.
of stories from my life, my friends, things that I've observed. So there's a great deal of my work that is pulled from reality, but then when I get it, I might add in, you know, dragons or this or crazy, something, and it turns into a different type of story. But the fundamental stories, a lot of mine are traumas we go through, hurt that we have, pain that we feel, life, real life. And I think those stories come through regardless.
Mm,
Um, but there is some fantasy in there as well. There's definitely some creative license to make it, match a theme I'm discussing or a story I'm telling. I might tell through, something fantastical. I have a few pieces in my last book where I'm referencing like dragons and different things like that. And obviously, fundamentally, and I hope you can't hear this fan. I have a fan on here because it's very hot here in Chicago today. Um, uh, oh, what was I saying? I got
okay.
distracted by the fan.
It's okay. Take your time. Take
I
your
got
time.
dis I got distracted by the fan and I forgot what I was going to say, but it's not
It's okay.
important.
Take your time.
That I can write about anything, but I think that there's plenty of poets out there that write about happiness and love and rainbows and very soft and pleasant subjects. And we live in a complex world. We live in
Yes,
a world that has a lot of issues in a lot of areas and a lot of trauma that we all go through. And I think fundamentally, we can share those experiences
of
through
course.
things like poetry. And so that's what I try to do. Romantically macabre is my style because I'm, you know, weird. Uh,
Not
but
weird. It's nice. Nice, not weird.
but I think that if you really, analyze my pieces and look at what they are, they're telling some really rough stories sometimes, but I try to
Mm,
do that in a beautiful way. So it's accessible to everybody.
wow. So let's jump to another question. Question six, right?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
So question six. As a poet, how do you approach writing? Is there a particular workflow or source of inspiration you gravitate?
I did an interview a couple of years ago, and it was this really simple interview. It was um, just describe your creative process in 5 minutes. Just cold, just go. Hit start on your phone, set it down, and just talk for 5 minutes.
Yourself in 5 minutes.
Right. So I did my best to describe my process, and I realized that I have no idea where this process comes from. It's
Mm,
as if a door in my head, a locked door opens and it's dark inside and
mm,
words spill out. And I don't even know what the result is going to be until I'm finished. And then I go back and I'm like, oh, that's the story, or that means this. It's so automatic for me. And I honestly don't know where it comes from. I can get inspired by anything. You can give me the words t-shirt and pen and I'll write you something,
Of course, you
so
can
I
do
can get
everything. You
I
can
can
write
get
everything.
inspiration from anything. But I mean, if you dig deeper into the question, I guess I could say that my own painful experiences in life are inspiration because those are my stories that I'm able to translate and tell.
Mm.
So they're inspiration. But as far as the process, I honestly don't know how I do it. I don't edit my poetry. I write it on my cell phone. I text to myself. That's how I write.
Yes.
I don't edit anything but spelling errors, and I leave it really authentic.
Mm.
And it's usually I get to the very last line and I'll go back and read the piece, and then I'll finish with that last line and then title it and go, okay, now I know what this piece is about. But
Mm.
it's almost like it comes from I don't know where, someplace,
Yeah,
wherever art
someplace.
comes from. Wherever in the universe art comes from, it comes from that place, and I can't explain how it gets through my head and onto the paper.
Wow. A lot of European people are so much creative. I never see creativity just like that in my country. You know?
Really? There must
Awesome.
be. I think every environment has a different type of creativity. And I think every
Yes.
person
Yes, you're right.
has a
You're right.
talent, a creative
Mm.
talent, whether they've recognized it or not. I mean, think of how many people play some instrument. Some
There's
people
a lot of
sing,
people playing
people write,
instrument, a lot of
you
people.
know, there's
Yes.
people that are chefs. Chefs, that's certainly creative. There's painters, and then there's people that want to be creative, but just haven't found maybe that niche that is theirs yet, the thing they're good at. And I encourage everybody to just try everything. Take a class, just
Yes.
grab a
That's
book,
what I
start
do.
writing,
That's
just
what I
just
do,
do it.
Katie. Everything I do.
Yeah. Yeah, go
From
on YouTube
podcast
if
to
you want to learn how
writing,
to do
from
something,
making
right?
music, make collaborate, from
Hmm.
specializing in movies. Ah, yes, I do everything. I have a good
Yeah.
creative process.
The worst thing that can happen is it's bad. And I'll be
Mm.
honest, I wrote a novel called Notes from the Ghostwriter because I
Mm.
wanted to challenge myself. I didn't think I could write something that long, like a one piece that long. So I set out to write it and I wrote it. It is technically a novel, it
Mm.
technically exists. The idea of the story is great. I just need one hell of an editor to go through it and polish it up for me because I'm not used to long form writing. But I just wanted to challenge myself. Same thing with doing interviews now, doing the journalism piece now is just to challenge myself to keep going. And I think everyone should try to challenge themselves creatively, however that
Interviews,
is.
yeah, and
Yeah,
support.
whatever medium, there's a million ways to be creative.
Of
But
course,
I think we need to exercise that part of our our soul or whatever
to make our souls grow
human breeze.
because,
Yeah, we need to exercise that just like any part of our brain.
it's awesome to talk about your poetry, talk about your journey, your inspiration, your writing, your style. That's awesome. Every artist have a unique style. It's different than another artist. You found your
I
way.
agree. And you need to be authentic to it. And I think for a lot of years, I tried to find where my fit was. I mean, I was a
Mm.
jeweler for a while. I mean, I did different things. So I feel settled into the right niche now. And I feel like I've developed an audience that
Wow.
understands what I'm saying and appreciates kind of the authenticity of the stories and maybe the delivery. And there aren't a lot of poets that write kind of in my style, like a gothic literary style. So
Yes.
it's something different too. It's obviously yes, but as far as
Keep
contemporary
with
poets.
poet, Katie. Keep with poet
Hmm.
forever.
Definitely.
Of course. So, question seven. Can you describe your biggest challenge so far in your career?
Biggest challenge. I mean, there's so many things that I'm doing right now. I have a book coming out at the end of October. I have two more albums, spoken word albums to put out streaming at the end of the year. Uh, but a big part of what I'm focusing on now too is performing. So I have two shows coming up. So I'm really trying to make that an easier process and a more recurring process. So that's probably the biggest challenge now is just kind of finding promoters to work with and finding venues to work with and events that I could be a part of. And, a lot of them I'll start small or unpaid and, do something and kind of work my way, through the ringer, with some of these promoters and people to get to that point where it's more consistent performances, bigger performances, things like that. I do perform with a group called the Poetica, two other ladies, Shalay Lorraine and Dr. Faith C. Rice. So we can do an entire show together that's about an hour long, and we typically do an open mic after it. So we're able to control our own shows that we do, but I want to perform everywhere. So wherever anyone will have me, I will happily come and perform.
You will perform everywhere.
Yes, yes. So and poetry fits into so many events. I've talked to so many people that have, enlightened me on their own cultures that poetry is such a part of their culture, whether it's reading a poem before a meal or if it's just part of something they do on a daily basis. Poetry is really ingrained in a lot of cultures, and I think that that's beautiful. And it's definitely, you know, I'm going to take over the spoken world. That's what I say. I'm going to
Stay
just
with poetry.
keep
Stay
going,
with the
and
spoken
see how
words.
far I can take it, and see what it turns into. And I know my journey will be different from everyone else's. I do
Of
follow,
course.
other poets online, and I see what they do and how they perform, and they're not like me. I'm different,
Of course, you're
right? So
different, and they
I
different.
understand I'll have,
Yeah.
a niche audience in some cases, but
Mm.
I hope that everyone is open enough to listen to different voices in
Yeah.
poetry, uh, because so many people have so many incredible things to say. That kind of goes back to just what I think that I really just am a storyteller. I have not shut up my entire life. I have talked my entire life. I've never shut up. And I think if I wasn't some type of storyteller, it would be annoying. But I'll be in an Uber or I'll be meeting someone and someone will
But
mention,
I mean, your
spoken
journey,
word.
I mean, your journey in
Yeah.
poets, a mind
Hmm.
blowing, inspired me a lot.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yes, appreciate it. So, last question. Can you just give us an overview of your poetry?
Real, authentic stories of how we truly exist, which isn't always beautiful, which can be traumatic stories or difficult stories or loss of love or all types of things. But I try to tell authentic stories, and each poem I try to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So it's a full arc of a story
Mm.
and just leave the reader with an experience that they can interpret the way that they want to, take what I've given them, take some of the pieces that I've given them.
So, give me some overview about your poets. Say something really nice.
Um,
Something, I don't know.
let's see. Um, Unsettling the Table is one of my favorite pieces because it just kind of shows the chaos that's in our lives.
Mm.
So I'll do Unsettling the Table. My story has played out quite like the chaos of thunder, taking handfuls of silverware and throwing it into the car engine just to turn it on while it rattles and clanks viciously. Inside is the utter accustomed chaos, but from outside lulls, rhythmic metallic drum beats that echo in the storm rain. We fool ourselves into thinking it is nothing but music until the steam starts to hiss and the flatware burns chestnut. This machine was not designed to exist in extraordinary chaos, but it seems that I was. I like that one because I think it kind of empowers everybody that, we kind of can make a mess out of our lives sometimes and throw that silverware into the engine and kind of things can get out of control. But at the end of the day, we are that strong to handle that chaos. And we are that strong to handle those issues if we believe that we are. About the music that you do.
It's your time to interview me.
Well, tell me about the music that you do, the electronic music.
So,
When did you start
I, I
that?
I will speak just in electronic field or in my whole story.
Um, Go ahead and just tell me. Yeah, go ahead and just tell me your
Yeah.
story.
So starting in 15 years old as a teenager, so some of games inspired me. Do you know Guitar Hero? It's when I was a
Yes,
teenager,
yes,
I
yes.
buy this game. I just buy this game and play it. So this game inspired me to enter the world of im- music, for special West music. So starting from 15, 16 years old, listening to rock bands. And after 4 years, I jumped to listen to metal music. You know metal music.
Mhm.
Of course, you know it. So it's take years and years to build myself as a listener. So, but in 2014, I discovered electronic music. So some of my friends helped me to discover that kind of genre, and I just like it. I just like the electronic. I start to listen to a lot of genres. After that, I just find myself on it and start my journey in 2019 as an ambient music composer. I'm a various artist. I'm not just focusing on electronic. I play different styles and different genres.
Okay.
So in 2022, I start my channel for podcast speaking about electronic music and discovering artists. So that's given me very deep inspiration to continue my journey as ambient music composer and understand the world of electronic music and know everything about its history. It's really such an incredible journey to discovering people, calibrate with people, share your story, share your knowledge, share
Right.
everything, you know. Even
Do
I'm
you plan to
mm, I'm
do
just
you
the only
plan to put
artist
anything out?
here. Hmm?
Do you plan to put anything out to produce anything?
Well, for my style, you mean
Yeah,
music?
like put your music out streaming.
Well, I just have you see my Bandcamp. I just have my Bandcamp and
Oh, you
SoundCloud.
have your
I share
Bandcamp.
my
Okay.
music, yes. I share my music
Okay.
there.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
But
That's great.
in a rock first version, no, because no one knows this kind of genre. It's very rare here because I'm the only artist to specialize with electronic and play electronic music. And maybe it's some of few artists in Iraq, I don't know, but I'm the only one who specialized with it.
I know there's
There's
a
such a
ton like throughout Europe. Um, they
yes, in
have
Europe,
that
available,
Europe,
electronic available in Europe, in the whole of it.
yeah. Germany is
But
good for electronic music, definitely.
it's a source of
Yeah.
electronic. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Uh,
Germany is good for electronic music. And the US is too. If you
yeah.
historically look back at bands as well, if you're interested in studying like, historically back, there's a ton of
Hmm.
electronic bands, some good, some bad, some one-hit wonder bands, some industrial bands that have been good. And it's an interesting genre of music and it's very clear, I think, to tell good between bad in
Hmm.
electronic music. I mean, to me, it's very clear to tell the difference, between good and bad. And I hope to see a lot more good come out.
Every person has his own style or taste in music.
Hmm.
Maybe you like rock, I like metal, someone like electronic. Yes.
Well, and it's fun. The only thing I haven't really dabbled in doing is writing songs.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure I could write lyrics.
Of course, because you're
But
a
I
poacher
can't
in the
play an
end.
instrument, so it's difficult for me to kind of think of the rhythm and like I can't like play a guitar and think of the rhythm and
Yeah.
write. or play the piano and think of a rhythm and write because I don't play anything. So that's a
You
little
can
challenging,
you
but I'm
can
gonna
maybe
try.
write a lyrics. You can maybe write a good lyrics to musicians if they like, of course.
I would love to try that. I also would love to collaborate with a musician and do a spoken word piece on a song of theirs because depending on the type of music it is and the pace, you could break and have kind of a spoken piece that really could be effective, I think, and introduce a lot more people to poetry, which I think thankfully is happening,
Mm.
just with how many more people are publishing and self-publishing and things like that. I think, poetry is having a moment. Uh, but spoken word still is kind of on the fringe, Not everyone knows it. Like I said, I'm in an Uber, and I'll just start talking to the driver and we'll start talking about poetry and I'll say a piece or whatever. But I get asked the question a lot, what is spoken word poetry? People aren't familiar with it, you know. They might have seen it on, America's Got Talent, the guy that won, or something like
Mm.
that. But they don't see it on a regular basis like they see music and TV and, movies and videos and other type of performing arts.
So I have a simple question, Katie. Do you see
Sure.
some of people like your style in poet?
Do I see people liking my style?
Mm?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I'm surprised at
But they love
my
your style in poet, everything, your words, spoken words.
Yeah, I believe so. I get very, thankfully, I get very little hate. I mean, the internet is the internet, right? Um, but 99% of the comments are positive and supportive, and I see the same followers coming back and liking things, and I start to get to know them, and it's an interesting experience, and I think that
They
I have a
love to keep
state.
with you in the contact, I think.
Mhm. I think
Yes.
it's because I post often, which a
Mm.
lot of poets don't because they don't write as fast as I do. So I have new content constantly and new things for them to read constantly or listen to constantly. So I think that's interesting. I have a new book coming out in October, so that's going to be a whole nother one that I can
That's your new
look
release
at.
book, right?
I can show you like this. This is like a total draft version, but
Wow.
it's a graphic novel.
I have a
And
question, Katie. How do you do that? That's
I didn't draw
the
this. This was
papers, the
drawn by.
papers. Yes, the papers, awesome. Colors, something unique and
Oh, I do all the formatting, the create, the design, the layout, all that myself. But
wow.
like the artistry in here, like the actual art was done by Alberto Apria in Argentina. And then throughout it, there's one long poem that lasts the entire book that's split up, kind of like, comic book style. And then there's these
I
journal
wish I have it.
pages.
I wish I have it to read it and
It's
see
not
it.
done. I have to finish it. But that's due end of October is my goal for that one. And it's I have never done a graphic novel in poems. I don't ever remember seeing a graphic novel with poetry. So I'm interested to see
But I
how
like
it's
everything.
received.
I like the book. I like the colors, the style, the painting style.
Yeah, and it's got, a little punk rock, it's got some vampires, it's got all, some things that for
Yeah,
graphic novels are, fun topics to explore.
awesome.
So what's
Wow.
next for you? What else do you want to do? I mean, you've been working on the
So
podcast.
the second, so what's your next question? Can you play it?
Um, what's next for you?
What's
Are you
next for me
continuing
as
with
an
the
artist?
podcast? Yeah.
Well, podcast is a different journey than my music. I create my channel for podcast to make a research about the electronic music scene, to specialize with it. But my style in music is different, you know? Podcast is
Mhm.
different than my music. So you can see it's two words, podcasting and music. So my next for me, I want to create a new album maybe in the next 2 years because I'm focusing here to build my sound, to make it deeper, to take
Mhm.
a listener to a journey. And if
Now, are
I
you
can do
doing
that,
instrumental now,
mm,
or are you singing too,
I'm
or
not I'm
just
not singing,
if
just
it's
instrumental.
okay, okay.
I'm not singing. I
I
wish
can't
I
sing at
will be a
all.
singer.
I
I
I always
wish.
wished I could sing too, but I can't sing. I can
Yes, I'm
talk, but I can't
instrumentalist.
sing.
My main power is my computer. I don't have much gears, but yes, with computer I can do everything. Because you see, it's
Well, maybe
electronic
you can
music.
collaborate with people and find someone to sing. Maybe you could find someone to write, lyrics and someone to sing lyrics and kind of globally collaborate on a piece.
Yes, I made a calibrate with a various artists from worldwide, but they all play instrumental.
I could probably connect you with a few electronic musicians to talk to if you wanted to. They're not like the famous ones I know, are like don't do anything like that. But there's some that are not like famous
Yeah,
that just perform around, but know a ton about electronic music. So if you wanted any connections, I could send those to you too and introduce
it's
you.
awesome. It's awesome. Why not? To connect and calibrate and do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish one day that kind of music can publish in my country. That's is my
But
dream.
you can't now, is that what it is? Or
I can't do it by myself. I can't change 40 million. I'm just one. But for me, I'm a different person. So I have another vision in art and music. Because as I'm a self-taught artist, I don't study in academy. I build everything by myself. A lot of musicians are self-taught. Not all people study in
I am. I
academy
mean, I never
or
went to
institute.
a class to learn how to write a poem. I just started writing when I was a kid. And I don't know. I think there's something to that experience.
Mm,
And just having to figure it out because you don't have resources, maybe. I've had to do so much in this business myself just because I don't have, you know, a Taylor Swift
yes.
staff behind
No,
me, right?
of course no.
Um, but I think that makes you strong and it makes you better and it makes everything that you do just that much more, you know, you put that much more care into it because you're continually learning things. And once you get through all that, to have some success is great. If it's really easy to get there, I don't think it's as worth it. I think
Yeah.
it should be a little hard.
Yes, really, really.
But at least you
I'm,
have the world to share your music with too, which is wonderful.
I have just the wall. So I share some of my music here in my country. They just look at me and they keep in silent, no talking. What's that kind of music? What that sound? So they see me, to be honest, strange because my style. They see me different
Mm,
because you see in Arab world play electronic just like me and just like my style is very rare and they keep
mhm.
shocked to see me. A lot of people from Europe ask me, how do you discover electronic music? It's really such great and rare to play that kind of genre. Yes, I discover it and I play it. I just enjoy the process.
I'm gonna have to go to your channel and listen to everything and get a good vibe for
Yeah.
it. And I'll
I
see who I can
recommend
connect you with.
I recommend to listen to my music with a headphone because I don't have a
Okay.
headset.
Here I think there's so many kinds of music and styles change so fast
Of course.
that you can buy pretty much anything and find pretty much anything,
But in this
any
country,
type of
no.
music. I know. Well, I have a
So
poet friend. He lives in Iran, and uh, we just communicate through Instagram. But he has two books out that are banned in his own country, so
mm,
he can't even order his own book.
mm,
In no one can order his own book in his country, which I find heartbreaking. Um, but he shares it with the rest of the world, and
mm.
I can't imagine not being able to hold my own book. But he's fighting through it. He's doing well, and he's sharing with the rest of the world that can order his books and can see, and hoping at some point that the people around him can enjoy it too. And we never know what's going to happen in the world. We never know.
We never know, yes. We never know what's happened tomorrow. But
Right.
we just
Right.
enjoy our time, enjoy our moment, right?
Yeah, and
So,
and you know the internet and social media is just opened up opportunities for so many people to
yes,
get their
social media
voices
help
heard.
you to discover this universe, to see people,
Yeah,
to share your knowledge, to calibrate,
yeah,
to, to contact and connect. Yes.
absolutely.
So, another question.
Oh gosh. What do you do for fun? What's for fun around there? Do you have any like
Um,
hobbies? Do you play any sports or
well, most of 80% of my time I spend it with music because when I feel bored, I just go walk, maybe contact with some of my friends and go walk, maybe do a lot of things, walk, training gym. Yes, I train gym. And yes, yeah, a park, maybe watch movie, writing, reading, reading some books I have. I have a minimal um library in my room. So that's my great process. Back into making music, training sound design, watching cinema, improve my creativity as always.
do you know the restrictions on sending books to your country from America? Like, could I send? I don't know if you have accessibility
Well,
to
I
like
don't I
see my
don't have
books in
any.
Amazon or not, or if they're
Well,
able to be
in
sent.
Amazon, not all people buying it from Amazon because it's hard to buying it from Amazon in such a country like Iraq. Do you see my latest story in Instagram? I just want to buy Live 12 and Iraq not available. So how can I buy? A lot of websites not supported Iraq, and that's is a big problem. So how can I purchase from the Amazon?
I wonder, I know it's difficult shipping things into certain countries. I wonder if
Mm,
if I sent you a book, if it would get through,
I
or
wish,
or
and
what
that's
they do in
my dream to see your
customs.
book and to
So
read it,
I can
to
try.
see
I can
that
give it a
creativity.
try. I can look up and see kind of the regulations and things and see maybe we'll give it a shot.
Why not? Maybe let's see it in the future. If I can contact with some of people can purchase to me from the Amazon, of course I will buy your book.
Yeah, because I can send you the ebook free. That's easy. But like, there's nothing like going through this page by page with
Wow.
the art,
That's also,
and
yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
seeing how it all, like the whole story plays out. I think that's like a really cool experience. And
Let's see.
like,
Let's see. I want to maybe see someone to purchase from me from the Amazon, and of course I will contact with you. I will buy this book. Yeah.
remember how I said I don't do a dedication page, I do an inspiration page?
Mm,
They're all artists, so I put all their logos to thank
wow.
them. So instead of just writing their name, I put their actual, like,
Awesome.
whether they're a musician or whatever they were, or a photographer, I put their logo. Um, but yeah, and I love just books. I love
Yeah.
actual books. Ebooks are fine and they're great and they
Do
have a
you
place, but
upload your books in Amazon? Do you upload your books?
they're on Amazon, but I have uh yeah, my books are you can order from anywhere. They're available anywhere. And Amazon has the Kindle ebook and everyone else has the regular ebook. But if you go to, I have a link in my link tree that takes you to a site called Gumroad, where with the coupon code I give you, it lets you log in and download the ebook free.
Mm.
So that is like a separate website, but
I'm thinking to buy it,
it's
but
a site.
how should I buy your book? And Amazon? Do you have any page on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. I mean, it's on any site. Uh, Sometimes it has to be ordered, sometimes they stock it, but Barnes and Noble and Amazon usually always have it in stock. Uh, you know, or again, I can try to ship you one.
Okay, I will give it a try.
I can
And
autograph it for you.
okay, another question. So you
Oh my
interview
gosh,
me. You
I
interview me.
know. I have to get back to work pretty soon. Um,
Okay, okay.
let's see. Why did you want to interview me?
Interview you. So
What made you interested? Was it the
your style, your poet, and your imagination, your creativity, that inspire me a lot to discover you. And I tell you from our first meeting, I want to discover your journey in a poet. So here we are. I discover you and you talk everything about your style, about your poet.
I had a comment on YouTube once. This was not that long ago. Someone commented on a video and they're like, I have no idea how you came up in my algorithm, but I am not disappointed. And it's like, okay. So sometimes you find people very outside of what I would consider like my
Mm,
core audience that
yeah,
really like stuff, and sometimes the algorithms don't always feed it to them, which is unfortunate. So I'm just trying to get as much content out as I can. There's tons of free spoken word of mine online, just to share it and, see where this goes because, you only live once. I'm not 20, so I'm interested to see where this journey goes.
of course, you have strong spirit, Katie.
I try,
Keep with good work. Keep with good work.
yeah, I try.
Keep with power.
Life's
Keep writing.
challenging.
It's a big challenge. That's your message in life.
Yeah, I'm actually the last one in my family. All my family has passed on. Uh, so, this is my legacy. I don't have any biological children. I have stepdaughters, but this is my legacy. My writing is my legacy.
That's great.
And the internet is forever. So it'll be up there forever.
Ah, so you want to back to work, right?
I'm gonna have to get back to work in a couple minutes because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
took lunch and then I was like, I have to run some errands, so I should be
So the
hopping back
time
on
now
soon.
is 1 p.m., right? Is afternoon?
It's almost 1:15. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. It's afternoon. So really enjoy about the interview, about your answers, about your journey, about your poet, about your inspiration. That's great. It's such a great honor for me.
Well, thank you so much.
This
I
interview
love
will
I
keep
love
us a
doing these.
memory. This
Awesome.
interview will keep us a memory in my channel.
I love doing podcasts and
Yeah.
just all the different questions you get asked and the ways it makes you think.
Contact
And
with people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Inspire.
reaching and connecting with people that you never would meet in real life if you were just walking down the street, people all over the world and in all different types of uh, areas. That I did a podcast with this one guy and I could tell that he wasn't sure when he started because he had like a beanie on and like a sweatshirt and he just looked like he was thinking, why did I book a poet? Or like, how is this gonna go? And then like 10 minutes in, he got it and he's like all in. And he was like, I mean, so invested in that call. And that was so much fun. And I did clips of it and put it on my Instagram and it's just so much fun.
Course. Well, thank you,
Thank
Katie,
you
for
so much.
everything, for your answers, for your time. You give me some of your time and appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything. Keep with the good work, keep with the art, and I wish you all the best.
Is there anything you need me to send you, like uh, pictures or links or I don't know if there's anything you need that I
Whatever
need
you
to
like, send me whatever you
let
like.
me know. Okay.
I will happy to check it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Thank you so much, Katie.
And
We
keep in
appreciate it for your
touch
time.
with me, keep in touch with John,
Of
and I'm going to
course.
check out your music.
Yes. John is a great man.
He is. He's a really
Yes.
nice guy. He's got a kind heart,
Real. You asked me about
and he
Iraq,
supports me.
about Jordan, about Middle East. Yeah.
Well, he's lived all over the world. You know, when
He
he was
tell me,
younger,
he tell me.
his
He live
dad worked
in
all over the
Jordan.
world.
Yes.
Oh, he lived in, they were in Oman, Iraq,
Iraq?
Venezuela.
Did he
Yeah,
travel to Iraq?
yeah. I think it was Iraq.
In which year?
Um, oh, he was a kid, like 5 years old. I mean, he was like a
Wow.
little kid.
He
Um,
traveled to my country.
yeah, he was in
Yeah.
Venezuela when he was really little. Um, Ireland, a few more countries. I can't remember. He's moved like 30 times. But his dad, with his job, he was an engineer and he would kind of go all over the world based on what the jobs were.
So he take his son with him.
He had three boys. He took his
Oh.
wife and his three boys, and they would
Uh,
be, so they could be somewhere for 6 months. They could be
mm,
somewhere for a year, depending on what they were building.
mm.
So he had an interesting global childhood. So yeah,
And
you guys should
John,
talk about that.
tell me about the interview. It will be such a great memory to him because maybe there's remind him he traveled to my country. I don't know, but he tell me it will be in a memory.
Well, wherever he lived, it wasn't, it was inside of like a facility and,
Mm,
fences and guards and like he and his mother, the kids and the mother could not leave without the father and could not leave without escorts. So it was almost like a military kind of vibe,
mm,
because they were trying to protect this area.
mm.
So, I'm sure knowing him, he explored much more than he should have, and snuck out many more times than he should have. But
Yes, he's creative.
some of it was a
He sent me
little
messages. He
scary.
liked to talk to me. He liked to make a conversation with me, and he asked
Hmm.
me questions. I really enjoyed to talk to him. Such a cool
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, and he's
Tell him my best wishes.
yeah, he's napping. His back is hurting. He's lived in some rough countries. Like Venezuela is a challenging country to live in as well too. And at the end of the day, he says all anybody wants to do is like, live their life and love their family and take care of their family, and that's it. All this other stuff is just stuff. It just gets in the way of that. But when you really talk to the people, everybody wants the same thing. We want to live our
Awesome.
lives. We want, relative, peace in our lives. We want to take care of our families. But fundamentally, it's all the same. It's all the garbage at the top that makes it hard for all of us.
Of course.
I mean, we're coming up on a huge election here, which is going to be interesting.
Well, I see you are a little bit tired.
I am a little tired. I am a little tired. It's
Yes.
been a long
Okay.
day.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's been a long
So
day. I've been working since like 7 o'clock this morning, I think. So,
yeah, me too.
and I have a long day ahead. So
Yeah, you should rest, my friend. Anyway,
I
thank
need to
you.
eat too. Thank you so much, though.
Thank
I
you
really
so much.
appreciate it. It
Appreciate.
was
Tell John my
wonderful to
best
see you face to
wishes.
face.
Of course, we will keep in touch always and always. Thank you. And thanks for your time and your patience and your answers, everything.
Thank you so much.
Until the
All
next
right.
time. Bye.
Okay.